Lucy Beckley is a wordsmith in many guises, but the capacity in which I met her was as a poet. She was running a workshop called Small Pleasures and Invisible Joys, and I immediately was interested in the connection between paying attention, noticing those invisible joys, and hope. So I had to get her on the podcast. She was kind enough to read three of her poems, the last of which is called Where to Look for Hope. So I really hope that you enjoy this conversation with Lucy. Lucy, thank you so much for joining us. I'm really excited to have you on the podcast. Could you start by introducing yourself and telling us a little bit about what you do and how you came to do what you do?
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Katie. So I am a writer, a poet, a mother. I've got a background in marketing and communications. I also run a little holiday let down in Cornwall and am a creative writing facilitator. Yeah, wearer of many hats. I think like many people these days.
Yeah.
Uh, I've always written, so words for me, since the moment that I could write, have been a way of processing the world. And writing has always been in the background. Poetry as a child was a place of solace and a place of magic for me. And I was always, yeah, found somewhere with a book or just lost in my own imagination. But it's not until kind of the past kind of decade or so, really, kind of in line with my becoming a parent, that I've really allowed myself to lean much more into taking kind of writing creatively seriously. I mean, I've always written for my jobs and all the different kind of professional hats that I've worn, but actually being able to call myself a writer and a poet, it's only really last since kind of my son was born, really. So.
Interesting. And we're going to dive into that a little bit and the kind of effect that that had on you. But first, I would love you to talk a little bit about your constellation of offerings. I think one of the questions I've been asking myself recently is, how do you make a living as a poet? And I'm really inspired by some of the things that you offer. So could you talk us through some of them?
Yeah, so kind of professionally, as I said, I've always been working with words. So whether that's in a marketing, a copywriting, general word communications hat, kind of I've done that since I left university. I studied English and German at university and then kind of just, yeah, fell into these kind of communications writings jobs. So that's kind of one bit that I still do work for. I've got a few freelance clients that I work for and kind of projects that I take on every now and then. Writing wise, as I said, it's always been something I've turned to. I had lots of kind of sad emo poems that I wrote when I was, yeah, a teenager. And
Didn't we all?
yeah, I got rid of those notebooks. I actually, yeah, just got rid of a huge amount of notebooks.
Oh no.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, yeah, since my son was born, which is kind of 2013, my notes app, well, to be honest, even before then, in my late 20s, I've moved around a lot. And I would just, yeah, in terms of that sense of writing being this way to process the world. Anais Nin said this beautiful thing about writing being a way of tasting life twice. So you
Oh,
taste it in the moment and in retrospect.
I love that.
It's beautiful. Yeah. I want to explore her work more and watch, yeah, what she
Yeah, that really resonates as well. I'm writing a book at the moment about walking the Cornish Celtic Way, and
Oh,
I think I have experienced it more deeply because
mm,
of the act of writing about it afterwards. It's made me remember it better and appreciate it more. And that idea of tasting it twice is beautiful.
it's amazing. And it just it also reminds me, so like yeah, being a parent, my brain has just basically turned to mush and I'm now that in itself is just a whole new way of being in a body and yeah, aging and the privilege of aging, but what
Yeah.
it can do to the mind and just the world that we live in is so busy. It's so primed to make our attention stray, to buy our attention, to turn our attention away from things that actually are pretty magical. Maybe what
Mm.
many people deem to be ordinary, we actually deem them as magical. But sorry, to return to your question, yeah, so yeah, creative writing has always been a thing. I went back to university in 2021 um, to do an MA. There's a little studious Lucy who feels she needs to do lots of courses and
Oh yeah, same. The
qualification.
amount of times I've said to my husband, if I tell you I'm signing up for a course, will you smack me around the face with a wet kipper? And yet again.
Yeah, I mean, on my BA, I did do an incredible, like literally a semester of creative writing, but it wasn't, yeah, I didn't get a chance to really do it. And then I dipped in and out prior to then, yeah, the pandemic was a point where I was like, do you know what? Actually, I'm going to do it. Like, we're coming out of this crazy time and
Yeah.
I need to take, yeah, I need to take these, yeah, things seriously that are important to me. So I did an MA in Falmouth, and then the whole art and magic of teaching creative writing was something
Mm.
I adore and I love. Um, and there was this incredible course at Cambridge University that I saw. Um, and so I then, after my MA, I went on to do that, and that was all about teaching creative writing. But it was so unlike any other educational experience I had had. It was incredible and a real kind of eye opener into how you can help others unlock their own creative potential.
What was the name of that course?
So it is just teaching creative writing. It's
Asking
a
for a friend.
postgraduate, yeah, it's a postgrad certificate, and it's at the Cambridge University. They've got like an institute of, I think it's continued education or something like that.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, and I've kind of always loved creating spaces and places for people. I
Yeah.
love to host, whether that's sharing food with people, but also just yeah, having a space to chat. And during the pandemic as well, I joined this community for mothers who write called Calliope's Writers. My friend George had set it up, and yeah, it was just this incredible magical space where we could join online in Zoom and just talk and chat and share and write. She later then asked me to become one of the co-hosts of that community, which I did up until last year. And then we both decided, yeah, we both had kind of ongoing stuff and life and
Yeah.
yeah, but I do workshops, I've held retreats, we've got a space in our house that we run as a holiday let, but I also am hugely passionate about opening up that space to women and to write, because there are so many barriers for women and trans women to write, and I'm really passionate about opening up spaces and places to do so.
Yeah. And
Um,
you hold space so beautifully, Lucy. I've done one of Lucy's workshops, and it was from the moment we sort of walked in, everybody coming from their different busy days. And I can remember the first thing you asked us to do was metaphorically empty our pockets. You know, what have we brought with us, and did we want that with us for
yeah.
the rest? And I just thought it was such a beautiful metaphor and an important practice when you're sitting down to write of, you know, how much of what you're carrying in your pockets metaphorically do you want to bring to this writing practice? And that struck me as a really lovely opening and really sort of set the tone for that workshop.
Oh, thank you. No, I mean, women hold things. There's that beautiful. I can't remember who wrote that piece around women holding thing. I mean, lots, so many people. It's nothing new. I haven't created anything new, but I just think it is, um, yeah, a really important acknowledgement to, like, when you do wear so many different hats and you have to innovate and change and yeah, are constantly evolving in your practice and in your
Yeah,
professional life, because the world we face at the moment is ever changing, and AI in terms of writing is creating a whole new
ain't it
uh
just?
yeah. So yeah, for me it just comes back to, yeah, giving someone the space, the time, the place, and ultimately permission. There are so many things in our day to day that tell us not to pay attention to ourselves, or that try and distract us,
Yeah,
or give us a form of where we're deemed to be paying attention, but perhaps it's not a deep enough kind of close, active listening type of attention.
Yeah. And you're right, that is true for everybody, but I think particularly for women, for non-binary folks, for the queer
Yeah,
community, there's an extra layer, isn't there?
completely, completely. And I'm hugely aware of the privilege that I have had. Um, and there are, the best writers I know are people who haven't actually published yet or who
Mm,
are not able, through goodness knows what, to actually get their work out there because it's just such a fight and there are so many things in their way. Um, so for me, it's a really important aspect of, yeah, I do lots of kind of free online co-writing sessions throughout the year as well. Um, and that in itself as well, there's a real magic in being able to be online. It's kind of like body doubling. So you'll just sit there and share in kind of this time where we're going, right, well, we're turning up for our words. And no matter what happens, it is a space and a place where we can just sit and write. Because writing's really bloody lonely at times and
yeah.
really, really solitary. And
It's really solitary, and I think it's also you're choosing a different life. And I
mm,
think, a lot of my friends have day jobs. They work Monday to Friday, 9 till 5, and then at the weekend they do something completely different in order to quote unquote forget about work. And I think when you're a writer, not only do you spend a lot of time alone, but also that's just not your experience of the world. Your brain is always on, always looking for ideas, thinking about turns of phrase.
yeah.
And yeah, often when we're working, we don't look like we're working.
No, absolutely. And so much of writing happens away from the page, but
Yeah,
also we're told and conditioned to believe that if you haven't turned up and you haven't written your 200 words
yeah,
in the first 2 hours of the morning, then you're
doesn't count.
failing. And I hate it because it's such an individual process. I mean, that works amazingly for some people, and some
Yeah.
people I know, have spreadsheets galore and word counts down to the nth degree that they are, that works for them. But I think it's just that acceptance that it's not going to work for everyone. And actually, a lot of the time, in order to write, you have to live your life, you have to
Yeah.
experience life, you have to tap into your senses, you have to allow your mind to wander. You need to allow yourself to see where your attention is straying and see what's happening in
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Go
world.
down those rabbit holes.
Yeah.
You mentioned that you started taking writing more seriously when your eldest son was born. I'd love to know what it was about that life event that triggered that, and also what quote unquote taking writing more seriously looked like.
Um, so Lucy Jones has written this incredible book recently that's come out recently. I wish it had come out when I was in the early throes of mothering, about matrescence and about what um yeah, becoming a parent, becoming a mother can do to your brain and your body. And it is this, for me, it was a real assault on my senses and real, we were living away, we were living in Berlin, so I was away from my family, uh, living and working in another language, even another way of culturally parenting differently.
Mm,
And there were so many moments of pure magic, but also so much monotony and so much, yeah, so much day-to-day mundanity and just, yeah, the nights are long, the days, yeah, are long in the newborn days. You're deprived of sleep, you're deprived of, your body's leaking out of every orifice, and it is this real kind of, whoa, what on earth just happened and who am I now?
mm,
And I also just wanted to capture what my child was doing and the magic of that being like, being their guardian in this world and watching them. And children have the most incredible lens on the world. They have, I love interacting with any child. I think, there's so much to learn from children, but as grown-ups, we get so blinded, or just Vaseline just smears over our lenses and we just get distracted by the things that are to us important, but
mm,
sometimes they're not that important.
Yeah, they seem important. It's that difference between urgency and importance often, isn't it? That it's the urgent things that pull on our attention.
Yeah, and the things that we tell ourselves that are, yeah, that we have to do or have, or our measures of success and what
Yeah.
that looks like.
Yeah.
Um, and it just helped me. It helped me deal with the frustration, with the fantastic bits, with the shit bits, with the like lonely bits. And yeah, feeding a baby at 2 o'clock in the morning and not them being able to go back to sleep. My notes app became my best friend in terms of just being able to just share things and just get them out of my brain and get them off
Yeah.
the page.
So you've mentioned your notes app a couple of times. Tell us what your writing process looks like.
Um, it really massively varies throughout the year, dependent on where I am, what in terms of life. I have really, yeah, my being a freelancer, my work kind of is all over the place in terms of busy times and less busy times. Um, these co-writing sessions that I mentioned hold me accountable.
Mm,
And so I have to show up for others. So I then am showing up for myself as
nice.
well. And I'll share a prompt in there, I'll share a bit of poetry. And it gives me, yeah, kind of permission to yeah, tend to my own creativity. I don't write every day. I wish I could. I would love
Mm,
to be in that position. But right now my life just doesn't look like that. And I would love to be able to go on massively extended periods where I could take myself away and shut myself in a room to write. Again, my life right now is not set up that way, but any spare moment, I just, yeah, it's within the margins and the seams of my days, really. I
mm.
often find that really annoyingly, I get annoyed with my brain, but just as I'm falling asleep, um, it's that magical time when, yeah, I think the volume gets turned down on the day to day. Sometimes it gets
Mm.
turned up, but sometimes it just does down a bit, and my attention then strays to what's been buzzing in the background. My notes app is full of so many lines of poetry. If I died tomorrow, no one would know what the hell. They'd go, what is this? Um, but yeah, I'll take a line. There may be something tumbling in my brain, um, that has grabbed my attention, and that I'm just like, there's a start,
Yeah.
and I want to explore it. I want to lean into it more.
Yeah.
I also uh, love a deadline, so I will enter competitions and yeah, short stories. I've entered a couple of short story competitions this year just to make myself. It's the discipline of it as well. Um, so yeah, but week on week it can really vary. Some weeks I can, yeah, make it so that I've got more time to write, and other weeks it just disappears into,
Yeah.
yeah, life and parenting and working from home.
Yeah, 100%. Now, Lucy, I can't have you on this podcast without getting you to read some of your brilliant poetry. You talked about the margins and the seams, and I think there's something really interesting about those liminal spaces, whether it's because you're up in the night with a newborn or just as you're falling asleep. And you've written a poem called Between the Hours of 2:59 and 3:59 a.m. Would you be happy to share that with us?
Yeah, of course.
Amazing. Thank you.
Between 2:59 and 3:59 a.m. is said to be the longest hour of the day. It's a time when a mother stands at the window, gazing at the moon, swaying and humming, her soft outline weighed down with breasts warm with milk and arms that have grown weary under the heft of a child. It's a time when the man who sleeps alone lies awake, wondering if he should have told his lover how he really felt, whether the short, sharp paper cut of vulnerability would have been easier to bear than a lifetime of loneliness. It's a time when the night worker begins to tire, when the comfort of home and a cup of tea pulls at their edges and their concentration drops, when their mind wanders to the soft curve of their loved one nestled in bed. It's a time when the face of a young man is lit by a blue screen, his head full of regret that he didn't call his friend that morning or open his post. The feeling of comparison swells in his stomach as he scrolls absent-mindedly on his phone. It's a time when a widow lays awake with her curtains open. The ghost of a smile flickers across her lips as she's held gently by the memories of him and the years they spent together. Between the hours of 2:59 and 3:59 a.m., somewhere in the world, wars rage and fires burn. Babies are born and last rites are read. Lovers embrace and children stir in their sleep. And the same stars still shine above us all, reminding us of what it is to hope, to wonder, and to endure. Between the hours of 2:59 and 3:59 can seem like the longest hour of the day. But no, you are not alone.
You read so beautifully, Lucy. I love that. And the phrase short, sharp paper cut of vulnerability. Oh, I've written that down. I mentioned earlier in our conversation that I was in a workshop with you where you started by asking us to empty our pockets. And you mentioned a little while ago this idea of our lenses getting Vaselined up. And I know you've also started workshops with this idea of kind of polishing our lenses. What do those invitations mean, and why should we all take you up on them from time to time, whether we're writers or not?
Well, I think so many amazing writers who I admire talk about this. Again, this is not me inventing anything new or magic. It's, Mary Oliver in one of her poems talks about, instructions for living, you pay
Mm,
attention. And Sophie Halworth has just written a book all about everyday wonder and like looking at the ordinary and the magic. Um, for me, it is just that idea of tuning into what is so magic and what is in front of us. It could be the shadow play in your bedroom as the lights dapple. It could be just watching a loved one grow and blossom and bloom. I'm now at the point where my children are getting taller than me, and that in itself
wow.
is a crazy, crazy threshold moment. Um, it's just about tuning in, I think. I mean, you could call it mindfulness, you could call it, having a more meditative approach to life. But for me, it is just opening our eyes a bit more.
Mm,
As I said at the beginning, there is so much that is constructed in order to distract
yeah.
us these days. And I think, I mean, there's a huge privilege in paying attention and noticing. Um, but it's free,
Yeah.
and we can all do at least a minute in the morning, 5 minutes maybe, even if that is just taking your favorite drink outside and looking at the sky or
Yeah.
looking at the window. If you can't get outside, it's just finding a horizon, um, and allowing ourselves a bit more space and grace to be present.
Mm,
And in the present tense, Kay Tempest, they're an incredible spoken word poet. They're a writer.
mm.
They're a lyricist. They talk about, the magic of arriving in the present tense, of really landing, and how what that does to your creativity and sense of connection.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think like you often think, I haven't got time, I haven't got time, I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy. But it's amazing how I was in London recently for it was Clerkenwell Design Week. So I was really, really busy. My calendar was like, if it was things where I had to be there, they were back to
Yeah.
back. And if it was things where I didn't have to be there necessarily, they were like four wide. And I just made a decision that I wouldn't look at my phone.
Yeah.
So whenever I was waiting for a train or waiting to meet somebody, I just
Mm.
looked around me and breathed.
Yeah.
And it was amazing how much more
Yeah.
spacious that experience felt and how much more time I felt like I had, even though actually the amount of time I had hadn't changed. And I think Somebody taught me once to time how many breaths you take in a minute, and then every so often just take that many breaths because you've always got a minute. And I think
Yes.
it's just those tiny moments, isn't it, that you can
Yeah.
inject a little bit of presence and
Yeah.
spaciousness into.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Absolutely. Yeah. And yeah, it shouldn't, it can become a habit that you do.
Yeah.
Switching out, swapping scrolling for sky time, like just not like I mean, I'm very conscious of the time that I spend on screens. I mean, there's so much magic in kind of the digital world and what it's done and how it's opened things up. And I will be forever grateful to kind of all the online friends that I have and the online spaces that
Mm.
where you can co-write together and you can write with people from
Mm.
America to Australia, and that is amazing. But equally, yeah, it's just that reminder to just lock my phone away, put it
Yeah.
away and put all the turn. I've turned every notification off now. Like I just
Oh
can't.
God, yeah.
Yeah, it's just yeah, yeah.
Yeah, somebody told me off once because I tweeted about this is a very long time ago when I was still on Twitter, when anybody was still on Twitter. I tweeted about one of their clients at 3 o'clock in the morning because it was a design festival and I just got in and I was kind of doing my tweets for the day. And he was like, the notification woke me up. And I was like,
Oh,
dude, turn your
turn them
notifications
off.
off.
Yeah,
Like, he
yeah.
obviously had something set up that whenever his clients were
A
tweeted
ping.
about, it would
Yeah.
ping. And I was just
Yeah.
like, well, I mean, I don't think that's on me. I think
No,
that's on
no,
you.
no, no.
Um, and I think some of this stuff, this we talked about the fact that writers are working when they're not at their desks, and I think often it's these moments of paying attention
Hmm.
that give you that little idea.
Yeah.
Um, Talk to me a little bit more about that, about the ways in which we're working when we're not writing as writers.
I just think our brains are so magic and underrated in terms of their capacity for, yeah, creating our own kind of constellations and
Mm,
mapping things, and just the very fact that we are all such different, amazing individuals, and what that means in terms of the things that we then pay attention to, or that catch our attention,
mm,
or that are important to us, or um, I love that about the kind of facilitation work that I do, and am very much would actively encourage people to start calling themselves poets, because there is everyday beauty and poetry. There's poetry and beauty in our everyday, that every single one of us can pay attention, can take a moment to think about the things that, yeah, bring them awe, that excite them, that make them cry, that make them furious, that, all these things that make us human.
yeah.
Um, uh, And I think, yeah, it's taken me a long time though to realize that so much of writing is not writing. And it's taken a long time, I think, yeah, it kind of comes in with parenting as well. Like as my children their needs are not so immediate. They're very complicated needs now. That's not, but they're yeah, it's I have spaciousness more in terms of my days, and time to allow myself to, yeah, take a moment to, yeah, just notice, to wonder, to um, follow a thread of thought. Um,
Mm.
Emma Barnett spoke a lot recently about sips of selfhood. It's from someone else. I can't remember the name of the lady who kind of coined that phrase, but yeah, being able to sip on the day to day, and the, like, yeah, the magic and the nectar of, yeah, it sounds a bit cliched and silly, but it is, yeah, but
Not at all. And I love that phrase, the sips of selfhood, that
yeah,
idea of like,
yes,
I'd love us to be taking whole gulps of selfhood, but, you
yeah,
know, sips
absolutely,
at the very least.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
beautiful. And I think it's not always we don't always get what we're expecting when we pay
no,
attention. And
no,
to
no,
that
no.
end, I would love you to read another poem. Um, which is we miss the Northern Lights.
Yeah. Yeah, we missed them many times. It was gutting. Every single time. We missed the Northern Lights. We stood instead under the stars and marveled. 3 generations in awe and expectation, counting constellations. Turning our heads up towards the winking eye of the moon and the shimmer of the stars, anticipation soared. As twinkle and twilight turned to ink, small eyes held by wonder. There's a beautiful lens, a lesson in how to view life. As the minutes ticked by, my eyes adjust. My mind wanders to the rest of the world, and the others stood under stars, or those stuck in darkness and fear. Here, I stand surrounded by beauty, and yet I am small, grateful, in the shadow of the fragility of the impermanence and transience of being. We give in to the realization that we miss them, that once in a lifetime chance, dashed by the brilliance and unpredictability of happenstance. And yet, I savour the moments we spent as we held our breath together.
I love that one. I love the beauty and meaning you found in something that didn't happen. It would have been so easy to sort of go, well, we didn't see them, so there's no poem there. Next. Whereas actually to notice what was actually happening rather than what you were hoping might happen is
Yeah.
really important, I think.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, that idea of the expectation, yeah, your expectations dashed. Like,
Mm.
I was so gutted that so many people I knew who, when the Northern Lights were in Cornwall, were sending these incredible images. And I just, yeah, we didn't see it, but it made us go out as a family. It made, 3 generations of my family to actually step outside and look at the stars and
Yeah.
just remember how bloody small we are,
Yeah.
and privileged we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, that incredible nightly show that is right outside our doorsteps that we so
Yeah.
rarely pay attention to.
Yeah. I mean, we don't need TVs. We've got the sky. That in itself is the biggest, most amazing show.
Yeah.
Every sky is different. Every single day you will get a different sun show, cloud show, light show, star show. It is just, yeah, magic.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, so another sort of prompt that you have offered into the world to help people pay attention are your small acts of attention cards, which I am very lucky to have a set of and have started getting into the habit of sort of drawing one each morning as part of my daily writing practice. Tell us a little bit more about those cards and sort of how they came about and how you hope people might use them.
Um, so again, a bit like the co-writing, um, to, yeah, it's a way of tricking myself into doing something. There are some amazing kind of writing prompts and cards and sets out there. And yeah, tarot is an incredible tool that you can
Mm.
also use as a writing prompt, or simply postcards, like old vintage postcards. They're incredible. Um, and with those cards, it just that little tiny moment to allow myself to play with a word. And
So just for folks who haven't seen them, they are little
they're
tiny
tiny
cards
cards,
that have a word
a
on each
word,
card, and they're in a beautiful little drawstring bag so that you can sort of take them out and about with you.
yeah.
And the idea is that people choose one at random or sort of
Yeah,
choose
I mean,
one.
you can, I generally choose them at random. You could take 3, I mean, it's really literally just an invitation to play with a word or go for a walk with that word, or just let it kind of hold it in metaphorically in your pockets all day and see, what you collect as you consider that word.
Mm.
Um, and again, it is just, I use them, weekly. Sometimes, I was better in the past a couple of months at being more in the daily habit of doing it. But yeah, right now life is is a bit hectic. So yeah, but it is, yeah, it's just that invitation and that space and a moment to just allow your mind to wander with a
Yeah.
word.
Because I think sometimes the blank page can be so intimidating, can't it?
Massively, massively. It's that kind of, yeah, on the one hand, it's an invitation, but on the other hand, it feels like an absolute obligation that you have to put something down, and that can be such an obstacle. Um, and yeah, having a word, having three words that you can play with is magic, and it's yeah, it's a great way to just yeah dip in and take a sip of
Mm,
writing. Um, yeah, and yeah, it makes but yeah, it like I have them by my bed, and I've got one set by my bed and one set in my bag, and yeah, it you can kind of carry them with you, and even when you're stuck or swap it out instead of scrolling, it's like, oh, I'll just take a card
yeah,
and see where
yeah.
things go.
I love that. We will make sure we include a link to those in the show notes. Um, a lovely turn of phrase that you used when we were talking before today in preparation for today was flapping thought ribbons. And this idea of kind of capturing those little things that come into your brain, those little sort of a line for a poem or a word. Um, how do you kind of catch them? And then what is the process of turning them into a piece of writing?
Yeah, so yeah, like I said, my notes app is full of these thought ribbons. And often I often write in the back of my notebook as well. So I'll kind of, yeah, collect them in the back of my notebook or on my notes app, depending on what's to hand. Um, and just dip in and out and take a line and see where it goes. And it will often take it will go through various stages of iteration. So
Mm,
um, that um, between the hours of 2:59 and 3:59 a.m., I play with that poem for, yeah, about 3 months, really.
wow.
Just, yeah, messing about with it and, yeah, shuffling lots of lines and taking out words and then putting back words and then, yeah. Um, but sometimes we miss the Northern Light that kind of just tumbled out.
Mm,
And sometimes I'll find that maybe something's happened, and yeah, a poem will literally, if I stay with it and sit with it and grab hold of that, yeah, what wants to flap and flicker, I can stay with it a bit longer. Or I'll bring to them to the co-writing sessions
yeah.
and kind of play there. Um, so yeah, I'm one of those people who doesn't, yeah, my process looks so different from piece to piece.
Yeah, but I think, I've got ADHD, and I think trying to tell me that there is a set process that I have to adhere to every day is just the route to killing
Yeah,
creativity. I think that freedom to understand that actually there's 100 different ways to write a poem and they're all perfectly valid, I
completely.
find personally very inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, like it's so unique and individual to all of us.
And to our particular day or mood or moment or
Completely.
season of life or
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I would hate to feel that people think there's a right or wrong way to do it. I've sat in kind of as a workshop participant before and have been told that, that's the wrong way to do an exercise. And I'm just, that doesn't quite sit with me in terms of allowing people to, there's magic in mistake.
Mm,
There's mess there, but there's also some utter magic and can lead you onto something complete, can take you onto a completely different creative trajectory that can be wonderful sometimes.
yeah.
Um, but that sense of failure or that sense of not doing it right can be so kind of, it can be really debilitating and can
Yeah.
be,
And I think so many of the kind of ways of doing things that we're sold on the internet. Like you've got to get up and write 1,000 words before you do anything else in the morning. It's like, cool, if you're
Great.
living on your own and you've got no other responsibilities, amazing. But if you've got caring duties, sometimes those things, or health needs, or any
Yeah,
number of things might stop you from doing
yeah,
that. And I think so many of those things make us go, oh, well, then I'm obviously not a writer. I'm obviously not a
yeah,
poet if I'm not doing it that way. Whereas I think the freedom to do it however and whenever and wherever is actually really empowering.
definitely.
You mentioned that you lived in Germany. You've also lived
Yeah,
in Portugal and now
yeah,
live in Cornwall.
yeah.
I'd love to know kind of what similarities and differences you've noticed in some of the stuff we've been talking about across those different cultures.
Gosh, well, they were such quite defining moments in my life, all of those different places. So Berlin is where, yeah, we left. I met my husband and in London. I grew up down in Cornwall, but I moved to London for uni. And then after I met my husband, there was a work opportunity in Berlin, and I could speak German. And yeah, we went there young and open to adventure. And Berlin at that time was an incredible place. I mean, it still is
Mm,
an incredible place. I haven't been back for a number of years, but it, yeah, it was amazing. Just the creativity, just the sense of spontaneity, yeah. And it is a very visceral city. I mean, it has the deep, deep history
mm,
that is very much in your face the whole time. It's a constant reminder of, yeah, what has happened in that space and place. And that for me was a real eye-opening, incredible experience to sit with history. We're not very good at, don't think, in the UK about admitting to our history or looking at our history or
mm.
being open about how we've come to be where we are now.
Yeah.
And it is, yeah, incredible. And it just, yeah, it was a very amazing place to be in. Uh, yeah, and then Portugal, most of our time spent there was actually in lockdown. So that was a really interesting experience to have as well. And the lockdown in Portugal was very, very strict, more
Right.
strict than the UK. And we literally, there would be curfews, there would be kind of police roadblocks in, so you couldn't move easily between the boroughs, let alone a kind of across the country at all.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, it was a time of real highs and lows, and I hadn't really I hadn't unlike in Germany where I could speak the language, yeah, I was very much
Yeah, Portuguese is
yeah,
a tricky language to learn as a
it's a tricky
native English
language.
speaker.
Yeah, it's an amazing language. There's some amazing Portuguese poets that also
Mm.
opened my eyes up to a whole different culture of poetry. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I've kind of left a bit of my heart in all of the places. And yeah, there were so many moments and memories in all of them that I feel very lucky to have had and experienced. And just the magic that that kind of being able to be in a completely different culture and it gives you that. It's like when you go to a foreign supermarket and the food there is just incredible.
Yeah.
Like for me, it was very much trying to hold on to that absolute everyday awe of, oh my God, what can I taste? What can I smell? What can I look at? What can I, yeah. Um, didn't always feel like that, obviously.
Of course. But yeah, you're
But
right. There's something about being somewhere unfamiliar that really kind of opens all your senses up.
yeah,
And yeah, being
completely.
able to hold on to that engagement
Yeah.
with your surroundings.
With that. And it gives you then a massive appreciation for that which is familiar. So
Mm.
coming back, and that is something that I've been trying to explore as well in a book that's still not finished, but that idea of returning like a swallow, like the swallows in Portugal and in Cornwall have become this massive symbol for me of leaving a place and returning and what I'm going on a journey. yeah, when we first moved in down back down to Cornwall, the swallows were here, and it was just incredible watching, yeah, their everyday like just fight for survival, and like reading more about the journey that they go on and what happens to them, and
Mm.
then returning, and yeah, it I feel very lucky that we have been able to have those experiences, and grateful for, yeah, it just opens up a whole other window on the world, really.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that. Um, the workshop that I came to that you ran was called Small Pleasures and Invisible Joys. And we've also talked about this idea of sips of selfhood, which was coined by Natasha Randall. That was who
Ah, thank
Emma
you.
Barnett was quoting.
Yeah.
Um, and the sort of subtitle for this podcast is Conversations about Hope. So I'd love to get your thoughts on how those sips of selfhood and paying attention to small pleasures and invisible joys can help us to hold on to what I call defiant hope, which is not sort of passive faith or naive optimism. It's an active choice to believe in a better world and then take steps to bring that about. So how do you think those things are connected, if indeed they are?
Oh, I love that idea of defiant hope. And yeah, hope being something that is active. We have to kind of flex our muscles of hope, particularly in the
Mm,
world that we're living in. We have to hold on to that. And, um, I'm standing in a not in a conflict zone. No, I'm very, very lucky and very aware of all that I have, and kind of the idea that hope can be this ethereal, detached thing. Yeah, it's got a really bad name and a bad rep in the like I think in the past few years, and people are maybe tired of it, because it can in a negative feel like it's something that's just completely out of reach. It's really wishy-washy. Um, but for me, it is that to have hope is to anchor yourself fully in the present tense. To have hope is to look to a future and to fight for a future, and to take small steps in every which way that you can. And I think we have to have a responsibility to hope as a counter to despair. It has to be that counterpoint. We have to
mm.
absolutely acknowledge despair, that you can't get away from it. The world feels massively dark, but I think as storytellers and as writers, as poets, we need to show both, and we need to hold both, and we need to carry both. Um, and hope for me is that sense of going, okay, what can then that look like in my day to day, and how can I live within that, and how can I act within that, and what can I do? Um, so yeah, I'm not sure if that answers your
It does,
question.
100%. Um, and last question before I ask you to read one last poem is what gives you hope? What are you hopeful about?
Oh, so much actually right now. And it may sound weird, but we can't escape from AI right now. But I'm hopeful that as a counterpoint, yeah, I mean, AI is swallowing my copywriting work and doing
Hmm.
all sorts of crazy things. But I'm really hopeful and want to actively fight for the counter to that, and the magic that is human intelligence, that is
Mm,
human made connection, is pushing me to do more things within the community. It's pushing me to move my work into a space and a place that I never dreamed imaginable. And the things that I want to work on over the coming years are very much about sitting in community with other women, with non-binary people, sitting and creating that constellation of connection and seeing that magic that actually was within us all, that we don't need the convenience of AI to write an email or write a story. I'm not being blinkered in the sense that I know that for many it will be, a massive cost-effective, amazing invention. But for me, it is, yeah, really leaning into that sense that actually day to day, what small actions can I take within my own community? Community
Mm.
itself is in a funny old state right now, and
Mhm.
that in that I'm hopeful that I, yeah, can help play a small part in creating more community and creating more connection. And
Yeah,
my children give me bucket loads of hope, um, and a reason to hope and a reason to act in hope.
yeah,
Um, so,
yeah, 100%. Well, you're definitely doing a great job of building those constellations of community, and I'm grateful for it. So I would love to close with your poem, Where to Look for Hope. I don't think we could have possibly closed with anything else.
oh, thank you so much, Katie. I've loved this chat. Um, where to look for hope? I look for hope in a cloud gap at the start of an otherwise grey day. I listen out for hope in the creak and quiver of the floorboards of small ones' wake. I find the taste of hope in a warm cup of tea, feet bare on the cold kitchen floor. I reach for hope in the soft folds of an early morning embrace. I smell hope as I step outside and arrive in the present tense.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Lucy. It's been an
Oh,
absolute joy.
thank you so much. I've loved it.
Amazing. That was so good. That was so good. You read
Really
so
sorry.
beautifully. I've never heard you
Oh,